week, another episode of Game of Thrones, another episode that gets us closer and closer to the end of Game of Thrones, another review as well for that episode, and beware, for this video is full of spoilers. I love this episode. I just want to start by saying that this is probably in my top 5 Game of Thrones episodes. It reminds me of how much of peak television drama Game of Thrones can be when it wants to. The dialogue, the direction, the cinematography, the way it furthers the characters narratively speaking to the point that it kind of finishes some people's arcs, and now I'm really fearing for some of the people in this show come next week. I'll talk about who I'm pretty sure is going to die in the Battle of Winterfell, but let me tell you, I love this episode. There was harmony and also dissension in one episode, but the theme was very clear. All of these people are either ready or they're on the process of accepting, or they're not ready at all to die next week. This is about what would you do if you knew this was your last night on planet Earth. If this was your last night alive. And I love it. From Arya's little reunion with the Hound, which very much reminded me of the difference between a conversation between friends and a conversation between best friends. These two are clearly best friends in this situation. The conversation of Dany and Sansa being snarky to each other and speaking in an allegory to each other, and then Sansa going to embrace Theon when he arrives to Winterfell and wants to fight for them. The trial of Jaime Lannister and everybody kind of forgiving him, including Bronn and his conversation with Bronn in the Old Woods. I love this episode. This is Game of Thrones at its best, with no need for battles or visual effects or really big extravagant moments. This is just pure drama, living what these characters have lived through up until this point. It all makes sense. The two best moments in this episode for me, which made me teary-eyed, were Ed and Sam and Jon watching on, seeing if the Night King is coming, and reminiscing about their times on the wall. Just great banter between them. Again, a conversation between best friends and not just friends. That moment was incredible. And it was also nice to see Ghost there behind them. But this conversation about Sam being the ultimate savior, now they truly are fucked. It really is the end times, and them laughing about it. There was a somber tone throughout this episode, but a little sigh of relief, maybe the last sigh of relief for all these people, for all these characters, which makes them so relatable, so human. The other favorite moment I had in this episode was Brienne of Tarth freaking getting knighted. Wow, her arc is kind of finished, but again, I'll get to that a little later. It was a beautiful moment. That whole scene, everything that happened in front of the fireplace with Tyrion, Jaime, Podrick, Davos, Brienne, and the blessing that he is Torment Giantsbane. From the moment he comes and interrupts Jon when he's about to hug Ed, the moment where he asks if the big woman is still around, when he's looking on to her constantly. I almost forgot, there was a really good conversation with Jaime and Brienne on the training field, and he's asking to be under her command on the left flank. Just great moment. Back to the fireplace scene. He comes in and he's looking at Brienne and he has his own drink on this huge horn and he just drinks it and doesn't stop chugging after telling the joke. Not the joke, the story of how he got so big and so strong because he killed a giant. That's why he's called Giantsbane. And then he woke up and he was nursed by the giant's woman for 3 months, sucking on her teeth. A great story. I really hope that's true. Another arc that's kind of come to an end, unless he's meant to be with Brienne, which I hope he is, and I hope she is. But that fireplace scene is really where it all comes together, but I'll address that in a little bit. I want to address the kind of elephant in the room, not really to me, but to others it is, and that is Arya's sex scene. It makes total sense for this character. It makes total sense that a character her age right now, after all her experiences, this is kind of the one thing she's left to do. And it wasn't really a priority on her list, but at this moment, there's really nothing else she can or has left to do. So yeah, she wants to experience sex. To me, it's not a big deal. It's never been a big deal when characters have sex in movies or in TV shows because people like sex. That's it. Fans need to accept that either way. People like sex. Sex is good. So before going into the fireplace scene again, there's this really cool moment where Jon tells Daenerys the truth in the crypt in front of Lyanna Stark's statue. There's this moment where she pulls away from him when he tells her his real name, and she starts questioning, very logically so, that it's kind of convenient that his brother and his best friend are the two only people in the world who know this and who told him. I'm not saying it isn't true, it is true, we know it to be true, but thinking from Daenerys' perspective, yeah, it makes sense that she would have these questions and suspect it a little bit. She is a prideful woman, a prideful character. It makes sense. It is a flaw, but it's flaws like these, such as Arya being very arrogant. These are flaws that make these characters human, and I wouldn't like these characters without these flaws. It's what makes them complex and what makes us fall in love with them, and even not like them. That's the effect that they have on us. The matter that they have an effect is always good. So Daenerys pulls away from him, but the thing is, before that, she embraced him lovingly, caressing him, supporting him emotionally. This is the moment where I noticed, yeah, she's telling the truth to Sansa. She does really, really love Jon Snow. That is the truth that Daenerys is. That's her true self. And even in their argument at the end, before going out there and seeing he is coming, we better prepare for the battle against the Night King, it's not only a great moment for both these characters, but it's a great moment for Emilia Clarke as an actress, because you can see she's not just suspecting this and being intrigued and being angry at this reveal and expecting Jon's betrayal or whatnot. She's kind of hurt, she's surprised, she is insecure about herself because she understands he is the rightful heir, and she's fearful for that because she has fought all this way all her life believing in one thing, and now it crumbles to the ground. It's only normal that she feels insecure. It's one of the reasons I really love this character, because she is so imperfect, but she is so human, because she knows that if Jon is Aegon Targaryen VI, she isn't, and she shouldn't get the Iron Throne. She isn't the heir anymore. So now let's go to the moment of the song, which I love, because songs in medieval times, the times recreated in Game of Thrones, songs were only showcased, let's say, performed in moments of happiness, weddings, parties, receptions of one family at another's castle and whatnot. This is the moment where these characters all come together and they're like, we're going to die. Can we have a little moment of happiness, please? And I like that everyone says no to Tyrion. Tormund even just grunts at him. And then Podrick just starts, and we see all these moments, all these people's perspective after Jorah meets Lyanna, and they have this little argument they're all going to fight. Everyone is desperate, and everyone is ready. Arya right now, after having sex with Gendry, she's right now really channelizing that she's about to die, and Arya is a character who does not accept death. That's one of the aspects that her character is known for. And now, after the sex, she's really channelizing, holy shit, I might just die tonight. And it's really hitting her hard. It's one of the moments I really like in this episode, one of the shots that says a whole lot of things without any dialogue. The song itself, it's about accepting, and all these characters are ready. Really, this was one of the best episodes of the show. Again, in my top 5, most likely. I cannot think of 5 episodes that beat this one. Only Battle of the Bastards and maybe Blackwater. But this is just off the top of my head. I might be remembering wrong, but for sure, top 10 episodes. Game of Thrones can really be one of the best, maybe can even be the best television show ever when it wants to. Everything that comes with telling a story cinematically, visually, this episode nail it. I cannot wait for the Battle of Winterfell. I love my battles. I love my bloodshed. I love my violence, my visual effects, my dragons, my fires, my swords, my spears, everything. But I love drama, and every one of those things I just mentioned that I love, they must have drama beforehand, otherwise I or anyone else will not care about the characters. And this episode pulled it off perfectly. This was as much a recap as it was a review, I know, but I didn't have one single moment that I wanted to talk about in this episode. I wanted to talk about everything to build up to that one moment that was the song from Podrick, and also the moment where Brienne was knighted. I'm pretty sure Brienne is going to die, and Jorah as well. I'll say 90% those two are dying next week. 1000% Grey Worm and Podrick are dying next week. That's for sure. Grey Worm's scene in this episode was basically just screaming, I am going to die, I am going to die. We are going to cry, and if Brienne and Jorah do die next week, I'm going to cry too. I think Ed most likely dies in that episode as well, in the Battle of Winterfell. I'll say 90% chances of dying for Brienne, Jorah, and Ed. I'll say 1000% for Grey Worm and Podrick, and let's see if I'm wrong or not. What did you guys think of this episode of Game of Thrones, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, which I think we all thought it was referring to Jaime. Turns out it's Brienne of Tarth, and it should. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let me know your theories for next week's Battle of Winterfell. Who do you think will die? Who do you think has a high chance of dying, but you're not quite sure? Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. Can't wait to review the Battle of Winterfell for you. It's going to be a doozy on the same weekend as Avengers Endgame. Tomorrow will be my review, non-spoilers of course, for Avengers Endgame. I cannot wait to bring you that review, as well as next week's review for the Battle of Winterfell. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. So until tomorrow for Avengers Endgame, stay beautiful, stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and click the bell so we can be geeky united!